Okay, belated next video later. Um, I should say I am surprised how many people actually watched that video. Although to be fair, I kind of know it's because Tim said, "Hey, go watch these videos," and Carl, as I am known by, even though it's not my name, has the Star Wars thing, and all the Star Wars people said, "I'm going to go watch." No, but I would say go watch other people's videos. You know, if you're just going to the other channel just to see my Star Wars stuff, because I don't think anyone else has a much plan in the Star Wars field like me. Give them a go, especially Nick, because I know a lot of people want to see Nick's videos, and you know we don't exactly label our stuff, but I think I'm going to recommend people make playlists of who's uploaded what. Like Visitor will have his playlist, Nick will have his, I will have mine. If that's all you're going for, but you know, give all the other videos a go if you're at it. Because I kind of feel a little bad when I see all the people coming to watch mine having all the likes, mine having the most comments, when other people have gone to the trouble of putting work into their stuff. And those people who have gone to go see the other videos, I'm sure the other guys appreciate it because, you know, they're not exactly the biggest Star Wars fans, maybe, as I am. Some of them are, but they're not exactly looking to do a lot of Star Wars stuff. I'm working with such crappy small time, you know, run of the mill equipment here that basically all I ever want to do is make little logs, vlogs, whatever you want to call them, about Star Wars stuff. And Star Wars is not lacking in stuff for you to talk about either, so I'm kind of good. Even if I decide to keep this crappy mic setup I have, which is not really anything besides the mic that came with this shitty laptop. But you know, that might change one day. All I'm saying is, to all you people watching this video, I appreciate it so much, and all the likes, and thank you for all that again. And I also thank Tim for, you know, saying go watch, because my other stuff wasn't getting a lot of views. But I do have some people over there, and I'm thinking about moving my videos over here. We'll see where it goes, but for right now, let's get on the topic. Now, from the title of this video, you may or may not be able to tell, this is another what if video. A what if video about what if Darth Vader had become the Emperor of the Galactic Empire. Now, there might not be a whole lot to talk about with this one, but there is enough, I think, and enough. If you really want to get into like the realm of fan fiction here, which to some people that might be cringeworthy to even think of it. Some people that might be like, well, you know, it's not that bad. I don't have anything against fan fiction. Frankly, if Disney can make their own fan fiction into canon with what they're doing now, then I can write a fan fiction that's better, if not just as good, and I will consider that canon, because fuck Disney. Yeah, that was a little rant. No. What if Darth Vader had become Emperor? Okay. Now, again, keep in mind that these what if videos you have to allow a suspension of disbelief on many things to allow for this to happen. You have to accept certain things I'm going to say happen, or they just went that way, because if you bring too much logic, frankly, into how did Darth Vader become Emperor? Did he kill the Emperor with poison? Did he attack the Emperor outright? Yada yada. You're going to get so bogged down into the fan fiction realm of trying to tell people how the story went, you're not going to actually be able to discuss what the topic's about. So, again, if I say something that you go, that would never happen, you're true, because it didn't happen. This is a pure what if. It's retroactive history. It's like, what if the Nazis had won World War II? It didn't happen for a lot of reasons that people will say it didn't happen because of this, because of this, because of this, because of this, and you are correct. I'm not saying this would happen, and this will happen, or this could have even happened, but you have to, but the question is, what if? It's not a purely logical question. It doesn't have purely logical answers either. This is merely my point of view, and frankly, if you have the same what if question and you come up with a different answer, you're not wrong. You just have a different outlook on how things would have happened. This is all that is. That's all I'm saying. Alrighty. So what if Darth Vader become Emperor? Now, I am having a little bit of trouble with this one because there's two routes I'm trying to go. Did he become Emperor? Like, it's so hard to say. boy. Alright, let's go with what if Darth Vader had become Emperor during Empire Strikes Back, and if he became Emperor because he got Luke on his side. Yeah, let's go with that one. What if Darth Vader become Emperor and he had Luke on his side when he asked Luke to join him? There we go. I'll probably have a little picture up. Sorry if I don't put a lot of pictures up on these like I did in my other videos, although you people don't know what I'm probably talking about, but I'll think about putting other videos up to maybe keep you guys visually entertained while I talk my ass off. Okay, Darth Vader in Empire Strikes Back asked Luke to join him, and together they'll rule the galaxy, father and son. Luke says okay. Luke, still in shock, still in disbelief, goes with Vader. Vader takes him up to the Executor. He starts training him. He starts preparing him. He leads, again, this kind of sounds like every other fanfiction out there, so forgive me, but this is my own opinion without me having to write down the story. Luke joins. Vader trains him, leads the Emperor on to believe that he's training, doing as he said, train Luke, make him turn. Sidious in the back of his mind is thinking, oh, I will kill you, Lord Vader, and take your son. I apologize. But he'll probably be thinking that. But I think I speak for many people when I say Luke is not the kind of person I'd really think as being very capable of even betraying his father. As much shock as he may have at his father being Darth Vader, I don't think he has it in him to betray him just because of who he is. I'm always under the impression, forgive my little rant here, that you becoming a Sith does not immediately mean you become a murdering, genocidal psychopath. That is the stereotype of the Sith, but who says a Sith can't become a Sith? It's merely a title. Use the dark side. It's what you do with your power, drawing on raw emotion, anger, in the moment, hatred, rage, whatever. That doesn't mean you automatically have to go around killing people just to have fun with it. Did anyone give out a manual that says now that you are a Sith, oh, by the way, you have to go and kill everyone? It's the same concept as when Jason Solo became Darth Krayt, and Lumia said, now you have to kill somebody you care about. When was that a rule? That was never a rule, and never will be a rule, at least I don't think. Oh, God. But more on to the fact, I just don't think Luke would have been able to entertain the idea, let alone carry it out in killing his father. So, keeping other things out for the moment, let's say a couple months down the line, however long you want to personally consider it, Darth Vader intensely trains his son. Vader maybe even bonds with his son, because Vader, as much as a dickhead Sith he is, seemed to genuinely actually give a damn about Luke after he found out who Luke was. Sure, he's not Father of the fucking Year, he still cut his hand off, but there's a lot more layers to Darth Vader than Darth Vader original trilogy, where he's just evil psychopath, until last movie where he becomes good guy, and Darth Vader whiny Anakin Skywalker, even though he's not that whiny to me. But I'm not going to get into the argument again why I like the prequels, because that may be another video, and some people are probably shaking their heads right now because I said that. But let's try to stay on topic, because I've been told I tend to rant like these videos. Vader and Luke will likely would have bonded. I mean, by the freaking middle of the 6th movie, Vader was already, very much in the realm of showing more emotion to Luke than he probably showed ever since the Mustafar. So they bond. Luke becomes his apprentice. Let's not get into the realm of what his name would be. They confront the Emperor, be it on Coruscant, on board the Executor, on board any ship. The Emperor, let's say, wants to see Luke's progression as a Sith. Vader presents him. They have a plan. Sidious might think it's going to happen, might not. Sidious would go the route of getting those two to fight in some way, maybe using again, going much into the fan fiction realm, might use how his mother died against him, might use the plethora of things and tragedies Vader has caused to make Luke angry. The fact of the matter is, I don't think it would work in the end. In the end, at the end of the day, Sidious would have wanted Luke so bad that he either would have A, killed him like he tried to in Return of the Jedi, or B, tried to turn him by turning him against his father. Either way, Let us not get into the details of how the fight would go, but Sidious died. Sidious died. Vader makes some sort of statement. I don't know exactly what you want to say. He becomes Emperor. He takes over the throne. And if you consider how much people were just outright afraid of Vader, I don't think you have the possibility of many, if any, Moffs, generals, admirals breaking apart from the Empire once they hear that Sidious is dead. Because frankly, Sidious, while being a power-hungry, authoritarian Sith Lord with more power likely than Vader, he used Vader as the mechanism that would hold the Empire together through fear. So it wasn't necessarily the Emperor they were afraid of, even though he might have been creepy in person. It was Vader who made everyone scared of ever doing anything against the Empire. So Vader becomes Emperor, Emperor Vader, and Luke becomes his second, his heir apparent, his whatever. Keep his name, whatever. Now, the question becomes, what about Leia at hand? Okay, that's the really tough question. I almost don't want to answer this one because it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but, you know, people will say, well, it's his daughter, right? Yes, she is, but fanfiction writers have had a lot of trouble figuring out how the hell they're going to make Leia accept Vader as her father. I'm having the same freaking problem as I sit here trying to come up with an idea. I don't want to just, you know, throw in the towel and say it happened. Just deal with it, because I think Luke would be used in a way to try to get to Leia. I'm not saying she would join with Vader right out the bat, but what I do think is a possibility, if you take into account that you have to let a lot slide for this to happen, if you allow for the what if to go, Leia joins with them as a family. That sounds weird. Fanfiction has written weirder things, my friends. Not this. We have to leave Han out of this equation, because if we bring him in, it brings in way too many questions I can't answer, and I don't want to leave just out there. So Han, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't exist. He's gone. He doesn't exist. They got to Bespin some other way. I just can't answer this question without letting some things go, and he has to be one of the things to go. Leia, I think, would join with Luke after Luke either A, tricks her into, you know, coming to meet him somewhere, especially if she didn't know what happened to him. He says he escaped or something, and he drags her kicking and screaming back to Vader, back to the Empire. Or B, she never made it off of Bespin in the first place, and Vader took them both at the same time. But either way, let us consider that all three of them are in the Empire. Vader becomes Emperor, and those two essentially become royalty overnight. Especially what the Emperor did. Sidious. I think Leia has a very strong position if she joins with the Empire, because Vader is not a politician. Vader is a blunt instrument. He is something that people fear. And while he may have wanted to rule the galaxy, that doesn't mean he'd be that good at it. Having Luke as leader, not really a thing. Having Luke as a military type person, maybe. Leia, however, you get your politician daughter in charge. You maybe reconstitute a form of government besides just the Moffs. I think Vader would listen to, again, the logic being taken out of a lot of this. You bring Leia in, they reconstitute some form of representation for the many systems and sectors throughout the galaxy. You give her command of that. You let her run it on behalf of you, Emperor Vader. And she would probably have a strong handle on things because she knows how to deal with those types of people. And not only that, the same kind of relationship perhaps forming between her and Vader. You have to, again, get past certain things, accept certain things, like Alderaan being... That was mostly Tarkin's fault anyway. Vader just kind of, oh, you can't go near Tarkin because I know you want to slap or hit him or something. It wasn't necessarily his fault. Did he stop it? No. But did the Stormtrooper on the level down, knowing what's going to happen, stop Tarkin either? No. So there's not really an argument there. You just get mad at Vader because Vader's the one to easily get mad at. The point being, Leia could have the ability, from a much stronger position than the fucking New Republic, change the Empire from within to be a more democratic. You could even say a more democratic sort of constitutional type monarchy type situation, except there is a lot more power centralized with Vader as Emperor. There's a possibility for that. If Leia was smart, if Leia wanted some good in the galaxy, enough with the genocidal anti-alien campaigns and all the just havoc the Empire wreaked as an authoritarian state under Palpatine, Vader, first of all, comes off as being a little more leeway. He's a little more single, narrow-minded, just get what needs to be gotten done. He's not a politician. He's not one to make real statements and real examples of people unless he feels it's absolutely necessary, because he has a very military mentality about everything. Leia, on the other hand, is a politician. She gets the politics of the Empire in order, and unlike the New Republic, which was dealing with the Galactic Civil War, fighting all these battles with several warlords across all these systems, losing Coruscant to the Empire, and then Palpatine coming back as a clone. Again, we're dealing with Legends canon here. And then just having all these civil conflicts within the New Republic, fighting off the Yavithans, fighting against the freaking Sea Ruby, the Black Fleet crisis with the Yavithans. I mean, Palpatine's clone with the Eclipse and the World Devastators and the Galaxy Gun, Zinj and his actions, Dala and her sociopathic mentality and what she did, the whole Exar Kun situation on Yavin 4 with the Jedi being remade, the plethora of things that happened that made the New Republic Thrawn, that nearly brought the New Republic down to its knees several times over and brought the Empire within an inch of taking over again. But you devastated the entire galaxy with the Civil War, and then when everything begins to calm down, what happens? The fucking Yuuzhan Vong invade, okay? Where you maybe could have used that massive military might that the Empire brought to the galaxy, you know, keeping in mind the genocide and the authoritarian grip they had on everybody, the Vong would have failed terribly. I have talked about this with several other people on the channel, and they have all agreed, except for maybe Tim, I haven't talked to him about it, that the Vong against the Empire would have either failed miserably or met someone who was a far better match for them. Because the New Republic, when the Vong first came, I can't remember if the planet was Cern Pedal or Selu Kamai, whatever planet they came over in the first place with the initial Vong attack, the Republic sent one ship. One! Where the Empire maybe would have done the same? Perhaps. But likely they would have sent an entire fleet going, what are you doing here? Who are you? Because under Palpatine, the Vong would have met someone so paranoid as Palpatine and as ruthless as Vader that they would have met these crazy people with an endless army. So, that was a rant. Leia takes command of the political side of the Empire. Luke maybe takes up the military wing for his father, whatever. Vader gets to run this massive empire. Do I think the Sith Order would have mattered much to him? Not really, because he probably would have wanted to train both his kids, but that's keeping in mind he probably would have opened up a lot more the Sith categories, a lot more possibility for other people becoming Sith. He would have kept the Inquisitors, and they're basically Sith. They're Dark Jedi. Yeah, they're more like Dark Jedi, but he would have kept the Inquisitor branch. He probably would have liquidated the Hands, because they were utterly and completely loyal to Sidious. Sorry, Mara Jade. Or, you know, if you're a fan fiction writer, I'm sure you could have come up with a way that he made her join with them, whatever. Because Mara Jade's so cool, guys! Okay. So Vader ran the Empire. Let's consider a couple things. Like I've already said, I think the anti-alien stuff would have severely calmed down. Because Vader doesn't seem like he really cares. I mean, he was around aliens a lot when he was young. Maybe does he have issues with them? Yeah, maybe. But he didn't really show any sort of distaste or disdain or disgust for aliens. He had to deal with them all the freaking time. For some aliens, like Zizor, the fucking Falleen asshole, Jabba the Hutt, he probably would have had Jabba and all the Hutts murdered. There's a what if, a possibility. With Vader in charge, I think he would have obliterated the outer rim of its criminal elements. I think he would have gone balls to the walls insane, kill off the Hutts, invade Hutt space, and decimate the criminal networks there. Destroy Zizor and the alliance the Empire kind of had with Black Sun, because he utterly hated criminals and he utterly hated slavers. Because not only were they improper to him, they were outside the law. Again, narrow-minded view of things. He didn't want to deal with them. He didn't care what they did. Just get rid of them. Don't deal with them. Destroy them. Liquidate them. He would have done that. In my opinion. This is all my opinion. Luke probably would have been for it too. He lived on Tatooine too. He would have liquidated the entire Moffs. Would he have kept the Moff system? Maybe, to ensure that the senators, if they brought him back, maybe, but he would have gotten rid of many Moffs who down the line would have caused a lot of freaking trouble. Artist Kane being one of them. There's a plethora of other Moffs who, one way or another, were a bunch of assholes, and I can't remember what all their names were. Needless to say, the Moffs, as an order, were full, or as a designation, were full of a bunch of money-hungry, power-crazed fools who needed to be liquidated. But who knows? Artist Kane wasn't that bad of a leader. He just was a little power-hungry after Palpatine was gone. But that was after, so, not a lot of trouble there. Maybe, But the Moffs themselves, I think, would have suffered a purge. Suffer being a very strange word, since I don't like the Moffs either. I would have preferred it. What else? The Stormtroopers. Oh my god, I think Vader, hopefully Vader, and I think he would, have gone through a very strong reconstitution of the Stormtroopers, the Stormtrooper Corps, and the entire Imperial military as a whole, because frankly the Stormtroopers were nothing but fodder, and nothing but endless amounts of cloned people with essentially the ability to talk and shoot. And we even came up with the theory of flash memories, where they basically had very simple memories of how to shoot, how to talk, yada yada yada, just imprinted on their brains when they were created. I don't think Vader would have opened up the freaking reins for people to join the Imperial military. He still would have created it, but I think he would have put them through a more rigorous, stronger, more cohesive training to make them more capable. He definitely, like any emperor, would surround himself with people who are capable of understanding his position and his power base. I'm sure Piet would have become a lot more important, since people love Admiral Piet. He's not bad. He would have put Piet in charge of many things, I'm sure. Other Imperials the Vader was close to, he would have just given a better position. He would have gotten rid of people like frickin' Sate Pestage, the frickin' idiot that he is. If any of you guys don't know that much about the extended universe, you probably don't know half these names I'm talking about. But if you look them up, then I think you'll be able to understand what I'm talking about here. I'm not saying I couldn't explain it. I'm just saying that if I tried to explain every character for you now, I'd be here forever. With an Empire under Vader, again, kind of with my last video, it kind of feels like a rehash, but there wouldn't be as many problems as the New Republic faced, because they'd still be there. They'd be stronger than ever, in my opinion. The Yavithans, they're under Imperial control. Would the Imperials would have lightened up their grip on these people and expected more out of them, held them to a higher standard, then yeah, the Yavithans wouldn't have been a problem. They wouldn't have even had the access to the Imperial weapons and vehicles they used in the Black Fleet crisis. The Hutts would have been utterly decimated, the criminal networks utterly destroyed, Nar Shaddaa, for all I know, could have been wiped out. Because even the Empire wouldn't have faced the issues that the Yuzhong Vong faced trying to attack the Hutts. The Empire has an endless military. The Vong, stupidly enough, is said to have a fleet of 1,000 ships. Is that it? I hope not. I hope that was just kind of like a we don't know exactly how big there's going to be, because the Empire had thousands of ships for one sector. So I'm waving my hand here because that is insane amounts of military power right there in your fleet. Not to mention Vader, I think, probably would have just said to hell with the Death Star plans. We don't need a second one. We didn't need the first one. However, I think he still would have kept certain programs like the Eclipse because he liked ships, and the Eclipse is a lot more practical as a weapon and as a ship design. He probably would have kept the Galaxy Gun, in my opinion, because again, it's more practical. It has its military value instead of just being this giant, massive, moon-sized thing to scare people into submission. The World Devastators? Probably not. The Sun Crusher? Maybe. I think the Sun Crusher is a plan he'd like to see come to fruition. You have a small thing, a small little ship, about the size of a snub fighter, that has the ability to shoot a projectile into a star system, into the star of the star system, and blow up the entire system. You lure the Vong, for instance, into a system to fight. Your fleet leaves. The Sun Crusher fires its projectile, makes it so that the explosion happens shortly thereafter. Confuse the Vong. They can't survive an explosion that big. They can't even survive a Death Star Eclipse blast because that's just a beam weapon hitting them. The gravitational distortions made by the Dovin basils on the ship are only meant to make sure certain things kind of just don't hit or fly away or whatever. Having a beam just beam right at you isn't going to be just bolted in all these directions. It's going to eventually get through and destroy your whole ship. But yeah, meeting the Sea Ruby, the Empire under Vader would have utterly freaking decimated them. Probably would have invaded Sea Ruby space and took it over, even though it's outside the confines of known space. I've kind of already said it, but when the Vong finally invaded, there wouldn't have been an issue. The Vong would have invaded. Would the war have been a little more cataclysmic than like the Galactic Civil War? Yeah. But do I think Vader would have allowed it to escalate to like Clone Wars level? No. He would have thrown everything at him. Luke being in charge of the military or not, whatever you want to believe, I think Luke would be there. I think there'd be a plethora of Inquisitors, a plethora of Dark Jedi, maybe even Sith recruits in some sort of weird Vader-esque Sith order, because he, to hell with the rule of two, apparently. They had all the walkers, they had all the military equipment to just decimate the Vong. The Vong, I think, I don't want to sound like a hypocrite because I said that they wouldn't have been an issue with the CISF one because of the endless droids, but I think that the Empire under Vader probably could have even beaten them a little faster than if the Confederacy had won the war and Sidious had them under his control. Because the Empire under Vader would just be a lot more tactically, just get the job done, hit them as hard as you can right then and there. It's an immediate response to an immediate reaction, or action, sorry. So, and Vader's an immovable object. You give Vader enough time, and he himself would have utterly just scared the Vong. Because if you look at him, and they have that machine, they have that phobia to machines, and he is a cyborg, and they would have looked at him and said, "What is that thing?" They would have had to deal with a bunch of Executor-class Star Destroyers, the Executor itself. They still would have had to deal with the Eclipse, the Galaxy Gun being the greatest weapon against the Vong ever. Oh, we got reports that there's a Vong fleet over here in the system, yada yada. Oh, aim the Galaxy Gun, projectile goes through hyperspace, comes out where they are, boom, they blow up. What is there left to even talk about? With the Empire had fought the Vong, Sidious, Vader, it doesn't matter. They would have lost terribly. When you put the New Republic in charge, they sucked. They didn't know what the hell to do. They fail on the political level, the military level. When you have a super weapon, use it. They didn't even want to use Alpha 5 because, you don't want to use a weapon that could kill all these genocidal maniacs who've killed 375 trillion people? Are you insane, Jedi Luke? Are you Are you that? Are you that green behind the ear? Are you that green of a person? Vader understands terror. He understands fear. He understands how to deal with situations like these. And him being Emperor, him being as he is, he would have dealt with the Vong so terribly. It would have been bad. That's all I'm saying. The Vong would have lost really bad. What more left to say is there? There's a couple things. Again, I take everything into account that I know about the Extended Legends universe, because that's the only freaking extended universe there is. Darth Krayt. No, not really an issue, because Krayt would have realized that one of the two people he trained all of his life to go out and kill, well, not trained all of his life, but trained on Korriban with his Ozan, is still alive and now in charge. I, again, don't know how he knew Anakin was Darth Vader. He did somehow. He would have gone to fight Vader. Vader would have killed him. I don't think Krayt matches up to Vader's abilities, because Vader has been shown to... This is, again, I'm not getting into the versus thing. Vader would have shown himself and his skills against Krayt. Krayt wouldn't have been able to win. He might have even had to fight both Vader and Luke. So, fail. Krayt dies. No one Sith. Because he only got the one Sith idea because he found out Vader and Sidious weren't alive for him to kill anymore in his mind. Went out into the unknown regions, got caught by the Vong. If he realized Vader was still alive, he'd go right after Vader. There's no going into the unknown regions again, caught by the Vong, having your vision, and going to create the one Sith on Korriban. So that's that. I think Vader, again, would have set up some new type of Sith order. I don't know what you want to call it. Palpatine was known to already make up his own Sith order, where he just really did not care about Bane's order, rule of two anymore. He didn't necessarily go out of his way to make any more Sith apprentices or some sort of Sith order, but he did have the Prophets of the Dark Side. They were basically Sith. Excuse me. He had all these Dark Jedi working for him. He had the Hands, he had the Inquisitors. He was surrounded by a bunch of Dark Jedi. So he might as well have had a Sith order. He just didn't give him the titles. Boy, there would have been no second Galactic Civil War because the first one was really short, and the Corellians, God, those... God, I don't like Corellians. I don't like Corellians so much. They would have utterly been pacified if they tried anything. They would have stayed loyal otherwise, I think. The Vader Sith, I think, would have been a lot more streamlined, maybe to be kind of like Dark Jedi, more or less, where, you know, you're allowed essentially to do as you do, but I don't think Vader is really a sadistic fucker. Again, he's not Sidious. He doesn't sit there and want people to essentially suffer. Does he understand the necessity of fear and people suffering? Yeah, because he's cold like that. But would he sit there and make people suffer for the sake of suffering? No. He's a very military, narrow-minded type Sith. He doesn't care about a lot of things. He's apathetic in many regards. He wants to rule, but it doesn't mean he has to be a suicidal, genocidal, crazy son of a bitch like Sidious acts like sometimes. Again, streamline the politics with like Leia. Streamline the Sith with like maybe Luke. Luke would bring a lot more calmer level-headedness to this new Sith order. And you want to speak of it. Vader not even having that much of anything to do with it. And you would have had yourself a Sith order that's a lot more mindful of maintaining the Empire, maintaining the consistent power base, going on, you know, not essentially always thinking, I'm going to kill Vader and become the new Emperor, although that would happen. I'm not saying that never happened, but do I think a lot of people would be open to, hey, do you want to join me and rebel against Vader? No. I think you'd have a lot harder time finding people like that. But, you know, again, the Outer Rim, I think, would have had a lot bigger Imperial presence because Vader, like many other, like a few other, not many other, but like a few other Sith, has this connection to the Outer Rim that I'm sure he can't really deny as a person. I think he'd probably decimate Tatooine's criminal order. I think he would have killed Jabba. I think he would have killed every single Hutt he came across who even had an inkling of doing something criminal, and almost every one of them did. I guess it's just in the Hutt genes. I don't know. There's been a few good Hutts, but most of them are bad. Would he have committed acts of genocide? If they gave him a reason. If, like, he came across species like the Kiliks, and they did as they did in canon, where they got basically the darkness took over, and the Dark Jedi took over the Kiliks and put them into war, then he might have wiped them out. And again, he wouldn't have an issue using stuff like the Galaxy Gun if he felt it necessary, and the whole planet the Kiliks were on were covered by just Kiliks, or those who supported them. I'm not saying he's a great guy. I'm not saying he'd be just, oh, my children are with me, therefore I'm not going to commit any more acts of genocide or near genocide. He'd still do it. This is keeping in mind you have to let some things of logic go. He probably would have left the Chiss alone enough. Just, you do as you do, I'll do as I do. Some communication. Let's not bother each other. Again, are you going to ask me really who would win between a battle? Darth Vader as Emperor of the Galactic Empire, where you know the Empire's military would have just outmatched even his master's military? He would have focused so much on the military, it's not even funny, against the Hapans? He frankly, if the Hapans did have autonomy, like they want to act like they did, even though by definition of movie canon alone they didn't, they were part of the Empire, whether they knew Sidious was like, oh no, this is my territory as well, whether they knew that or not, they were part of the Empire. They were inside of the Empire. At any given moment you could invade the Hapans, decimate them, and frankly I think at any given point Vader probably would have constituted his Empire and said, you know that little blotch right there in the middle of my empire? Go in there, decimate it, take it over, and we're good. Hapans would lose drastically. It's not even a question for me. Oh boy. This is really long and stupid because I'm kind of repeating myself in some places. Oh man. Yoda, I think, sadly would have just died an old, jaded, failed Jedi on Dagobah, which is sad, because not everything is Yoda's fault, but this is like just a what if, and I think Yoda probably wouldn't have done anything. He wouldn't have been able to do anything. Obi-Wan's ghost, sad face, but again, you can't do much. Show up to Luke, say you're disappointed in him. Yeah, but Vader's his father. And like with many people, I agree that Obi-Wan kind of was a dick in that he let Vader kill him so that he could make Luke be more capable of easily fighting and killing his own father. But he left Anakin to burn to death on Mustafar, didn't bother to go, hey, let me make sure you're dead, because I just watched you smolder and frickin' burn here. No, I'm just going to leave you. I'm going to leave, and I'm going to let you suffer a little while longer. That was a little out of character. My god. What else? I don't really have much else to say. When Vader finally kicks the bucket, Luke becomes Emperor. I don't know what to tell you. Luke becomes Emperor. Again, I can't bring in the relationships these two had, because either A, you can believe as you want fanficky, Jade still ended up with Luke, somehow ended up with Leia, or you can go even more major fanfiction, Luke ended up with someone else, Leia ended up with someone else, or any intertwining of the two. Frankly, personally, I don't mind Jade. I kind of get annoyed with how many people love her as a character, because in my opinion, she didn't do all that much, but she's fine. Personally, I hate Han Solo with a passion. I'm not going to get into that, but if someone wants to write a fanfiction while she doesn't end up with Han Solo, good for you, because you broke the mold, you didn't go for the streamlined mainstream thing, and frankly, you took a good character, Leia, and put her with someone who hopefully is a better character. I know right now a lot of people are raising their brows going, what is he even talking about? But that's why I said when I digress, this thing's getting a lot longer unnecessarily. Needless to say, if Darth Vader had become Emperor of the Galactic Empire, I think it would have been a lot better for the galaxy. I think it would have been a lot better for the galaxy. I'm not advocating totalitarian authoritarianism at all. But frankly, Sidious isn't that great a person to be in charge. Vader is a lot more narrow-minded, a lot more just, let's do this. He's a lot surgical and precise. Do this, do this, do this. Make sure everything stays in line. Okay, everything's good in line. Let's leave it alone. All right, we got another war to fight. Go there. All right, we got another battle to fight here. Let's go there. Let's go to the Outer Rim, find a bunch of aliens we didn't know existed before, and kill them for the fuck's sake of it. He wouldn't do that. So, Vader in charge of the Empire, a lot better. Luke at his side, a lot better. Leia at his side, even better. So, that's my second video. The Galactic Empire under Vader. I'm repeating myself. So, tell me what you guys think. Put your what ifs down in the comments because I've already gotten a couple good ones that I'll be using later on. Don't worry, I'll make more, and they'll be of some that you guys want to hear, that you come up with. And tell me maybe what you think would happen if he had become Emperor. Tell me how stupid some of my stuff is, because I'm sure some of you thinking that would never happen. Again, try to let some logic come out of this, because it's not going to work if you bring too much logic, frankly, into this argument. So, let it go, let it pass, accept what I have to say with a grain of salt, because it didn't happen. If you want to go read where it happens, there's a great website called fanfiction.net. Again, there's some really good fanfiction out there. If I made too many fanfiction jokes, it's not because I hate fanfiction. I actually think some of it's a lot better than what Disney's doing right now. So, I'm Carl, as they know me on the channel, as Tim calls me, and I am happy to make these videos for you. I will make more series coming up and more within this series soon. So do the things other YouTubers tell you to do at the end of videos, where you like, you subscribe, you fucking leave comments. I don't care. Just do as you will. If anyone watches my video, I'm happy. So, that being said, thanks y'all for listening and watching what is likely to be another boring one-picture video. When you're listening to me ramble on, I highly recommend you do something else, because I'm likely going to have just one or maybe even just a couple pictures up there. It's not that interesting. So, thanks again, and I'll see you guys at the next one.